And welcome back to Whiskey Politics, still at CPAC 2019, and I'm delighted to be sitting with Cabot Phillips, who is the... Did you start Campus Reform? Tell me your role here.
I did not start. I'm the media director, though. So
media director at Campus Reform.
My role is to go out and film as many videos as possible, interviewing students, man on the street, and then speaking to important issues, going to campus, speaking, giving speeches, debates, whatever it is, and then taking care of the media stuff on different networks.
So let's talk a little bit about this. First of all, Campus Reform, like Turning Point USA, both extremely important pivotal roles as far as bringing the next generation. I think the millennials are kind of moving out into corporate America now. You got some left in school, but now we got Gen Z coming.
Yeah,
right?
And I think a lot of people, they just want to wash their hands of education and say, well, it's always going to be liberal. Let's just not worry about it. That's the worst possible approach, in my opinion. So at Campus Reform, we're trying to shine a light on the liberal bias and abuses that take place on college campuses, the systematic indoctrination that's happening, and the oppression of conservative ideas and suppression of those ideas. And so we're trying to create an environment on college where there's a marketplace of ideas, all sorts of different opinions happening, professors aren't misusing their positions, equal funding for different types of political opinions, and trying to really use accountability and use the media, get people discussing what's going on as a means of getting universities to be less biased.
So let's talk about that bias, because I think there's a tremendous amount, especially somebody that's been out of school for, I graduated, I don't know, not more than 10 years ago. So anyway, my oldest actually is been accepted. He's 6 out of 6 right now. It's different schools. He's about to go into this, right? Now, as a father that's always looking to just keep my kids center, I don't expect him to be conservative right now. You have to evolve. You know, we're all liberal before 30 and conservative by 40. Right, that's the old saying. Okay, but what are you seeing right now as far as where the trend is going? Because if we take a look at the media right now, there's a huge push towards socialism and Bernie and all of this right now.
I think the trend that I'm seeing that's most alarming is that conservative students are far more educated and informed than liberal students. And here's why it's bad. I think a lot of the indoctrination that happens on campus, the one-sided bias, leads a lot of students to say, well, I'm kind of politically apathetic. I'm going to go along with what the authority figures tell me, what my professors tell me, what social media, the mainstream media tell me. I'll just say I'm a liberal, but they're never tested. They never have to defend themselves. They never have to go out and explain why they believe what they do. And so as a result, they're not as informed, they're not as intellectually sharp, because they don't ever have to put those ideas to the test. And so it's sad because we have a huge portion of millennials and Generation Z, the next generations, that are leaving college having never had to challenge their own worldview, their own ideas, and so it's making people less informed. And as a result, only conservative students are the ones that actually have to consistently know why they believe what they do. And so, in a way, it's, some people might say, oh, well, good, let those lefties be uninformed. But it's a problem for society. Millennials are the largest voting bloc in America, and so many people are going to the polls with no real perception, or it's a warped perception of what reality is about. And so, again, I think that, kind of like you said, I don't think that every young person that graduates college has to be conservative. But I would like to see, I think most Americans would like to see them at least hear both sides, make up their minds for themselves.
Right. And I think that's what's missing right now, especially on a national debate. If you listen to what a lot of students are saying and what media are saying, we're finding that there are significantly larger percentages, probably closer to the 85, 90, 95% in some rates, of people that are consider themselves liberal in the media and the professors.
There are some really interesting studies that have been done on the political affiliations of professors. Jonathan Haidt did some wonderful published work on this. Calling It the American Mind, if you read that, he talks about the political affiliation. In many humanities departments, for example, it's about 18-1, the liberal to conservative professors. The most conservative, or
18-1, so that's 90%.
90%,
that's
somewhere
insane.
around there. The most conservative, if you will, field was economics, according to that. And even the economics field, it was 4-1 on liberal to conservative self-identification for professors. So there is a problem when all professors think one thing and one ideology. Students are getting a less rounded education. That's a problem.
So you guys are focused on the students. But who's focused on the professors and the teachers and the ivory towers?
I think a lot of that does come with students, first off, holding them accountable. And so much of what we do is we have a team of about 100 student reporters around the country. And when their professors are misusing their platform, when they are indoctrinating as opposed to educating, when they're giving out biased assignments, ridiculous required readings without any sort of conservative counterpart, our students are sending us evidence of that, and we're publishing it. We're just simply saying, we're not saying this person has to be fired, but let's make taxpayers aware of what their money is funding in education. I think that's one part, is accountability, so professors realize I can't keep doing this and get away with it without public pressure. And I think also market forces have to begin to make an impact if we're going to do this. I think people have to stop donating to colleges that are failing their alumni. If they're not getting the job done, you should stop donating to them. And people should stop sending their kids to universities that aren't giving a good education.
What are you seeing right now as far as the trajectory of the cost of college? This is another question. It's not really political, but I believe, and hear me out here and tell me if you disagree. I believe the price in education right now is directly related to the government guaranteeing student loans.
It absolutely
and that is a supply and demand issue.
Yes.
The two biggest expenses, college expenses and healthcare, both are backed by the U.S. government in some capacity. You take the government out of that, do we not see a level playing field and less students coming in and costs coming down because they now have to be more competitive?
I am so happy you're talking about this. Very few people want to acknowledge the role that government plays in keeping prices inflated and artificially high. I wrote an op-ed on this in Investors Business Daily talking about the need for government to stop giving out these high-risk loans. No private lender would give many students the tens of thousands of dollars of loans that they're giving, but the government doesn't care because it's taxpayer backed. They don't care if people default on these loans.
And it's what, a couple of trillion
it's
dollars?
About $1.5 trillion.
That's insane.
The estimates are that by 2023, 40% of all people with student loans will have defaulted on those loans. It's going to be us picking up the bill for that. And I think that when a university knows we can raise the tuition $5,000 this year, $10,000. They know that students won't even really look at the price. They'll say, oh, what's an extra $10,000 in loans? I'll take it out. The government says, sure, have this money, take it, knowing they're never going to get the money back.
I am really trying to steer my son away, both my kids when they go to college, away from taking any kind of student loans.
Yeah.
It's just insane to think that you're going to spend your 20s and much of your 30s, instead of building wealth, buying real estate, doing what you need to do to start your life, paying back a loan for an education for a 4-year degree.
And many times people take out loans without understanding the repercussions that come with them. And we need to do a better job as a society of having a conversation about, hey, taking out loans is a very serious thing. You have 18 and 19-year-old kids that just think that's the only way for me to go to college, or this is the best route for me economically, so I'll take on $150,000 in loans.
It's insanity.
And many of them don't actually pay them off soon enough. They get out of college and they say, oh, I can work, I can make all this money.
10, 20, 30 years from now.
You got to pay it off right away. We don't do a good enough job of educating. Obviously, it's on students, it's personal decisions, but I think we need to do more as a society to educate people on the danger of taking out high-risk loans and try to find, again, market solutions to the problem instead of loans, instead of looking to the government to solve all the problems. I think private individuals would be the solution. Right.
All right, I'm going to ask you a personal question. We had your dad, Tim Phillips, on our show. He runs AFP,
yes,
Americans for Prosperity. And we had a nice long sit down in person overlooking the ocean. Super, super nice guy. I can see where, the apple didn't fall far from the tree. So he's traveling all the time, running around the country. You're traveling. Is this what you want to do? Is this going to be your life?
I like it right now. I've been on 100 college campuses in the last 2.5 years.
Wow.
It's added up. And I enjoy it. I definitely am not doing it because my father's doing it, because anyone else is doing it. I do it because I love the chance to get to meet with students that haven't really heard conservative ideas, libertarian ideas presented to them from someone that they can relate with. So there's nothing better than when I go to campus and I get tired and it's stressful doing these debates.
Sure.
But when people come up after and they say, you know what, you're all right. I hadn't really heard of conservatives like this before. It doesn't sound as bad as I thought. That's
got to make you feel really good.
That makes it worth it.
That's a win right there.
The aha moment. And so I'm trying to, while I'm young and I feel like I can still relate to college
there's a saying in sales that there's the fist bump moments, usually when you close a deal. That's it right there.
Yeah. And
you've converted, or at least somebody opened their mind. You're not looking to indoctrinate, you're looking for people to figure it out for themselves.
And sadly, I think it's sad that my position is necessary.
Yeah.
I would hope that eventually campus forum isn't necessary anymore and the university systems become a real bastion of free speech and free debate. Right now we're not there, so my job is pretty clear cut. I'm happy where I'm at right now.
That's fantastic. Okay, so folks want to find you and maybe invite you to their campus, or how does that process work?
We have an open application on our website. My email is just cphillips@campusreform.org.
Okay.
Anyone could shoot me an email.
And what happens? You go to a campus and you do a presentation, or?
Whatever they want. So I have one part that is the liberal privilege tour.
Okay.
I've been doing that, so it's kind of poking fun at the idea of white privilege, male privilege, all this. And I like to point out that liberal privilege is probably the most real privilege there is in society for young people. The more benefits you get. So that's part of it, is the liberal privilege tour.
Right.
And also, if people want to bring me out to have a debate, I'll do that. I was at Columbia University yesterday debating 3 professors in front of an audience about gun control.
Fantastic.
And why we need to stand for the Second Amendment. So anything like that, that's what I want to do.
Follow this man, folks. Cabot Phillips at Campus Reform. Check out campusreform.com. And if you are listening and you are in a university or a college, bring them on board. Very, very important. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate
and say hi to your dad. Dave Sussman will be right back real soon at Whiskey Politics.